guys, it's me, Kelly. Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we are going to hurt my feelings and read 1-star reviews on my 5-star reads, like some of my favorite books. And I've seen this trend to kind of go around YouTube and also TikTok, and I've seen a few people do this, and I thought, why not read some of it too and get a few laughs and maybe not hurt my feelings, but we'll see. And this is no hate to the people who gave my favorite books a 1-star. Literally, books, that's literally what reading is all about. You find your favorites and your least favorites, and that's how reading works. Well, it's all opinion based. Like, you like what you like and I like what I like. So I just want to see what people are saying about my favorite books and maybe be a little upset. But again, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So let's go ahead and get on with the video. All right, we're gonna start with a classic. One of my favorite books of all time is The Great Gatsby, as well as To Kill a Mockingbird, and I wanted to see what people think of classics because I know a lot of people read those for school, particularly in high school, and typically they're not a favorite as a teenager because they're classic literature and it's kind of boring. But I absolutely loved these books in high school. I was just that nerdy kid. So I think I'm going to start with The Great Gatsby because that's probably, I recently read it maybe like 2 years ago, reread it since high school, so I kind of want to see what a 1-star review is for that. And of course, I am looking on Goodreads for these 1-star reviews. This one says, "Only if I cared what rich white people were up to." 1 star, which I get it. This one says, "I felt I had stepped in something icky, and the end of this book." First, that doesn't make sense, but okay. "So hyped up as a classic and yet so disappointing. Other than the author's few beautiful lines and how he keeps the story going, this book is just a compilation of rich people with too much money, too much time, and too little scruples. Somebody tell me why this book is recommended high school reading." Well, which I see a lot of 1-star reviews talking about, like, why would I want to read about rich people? Like, because me personally, I'm not rich. I want to see their lives. And again, this is a fictional story, so again, I want to see like the 1920s, prohibition, partying, all of that. And they did say, other than the author's few beautiful lines, there are some really nice good quotes in there. So I'm surprised they gave it a 1-star, maybe like a 2-star for those beautiful quotes. But yeah, I will say, rereading it, I was like not bored, but it's just like a different type of writing than modern day writing, of course, which I can see how it can be boring because it's old English basically. Okay, and our last and final review we're gonna read is, "I truly had a miserable time reading this and almost fell asleep about 30 times. Again, this book is not that long. Like, let me just take a look at it. How did you fall asleep 30 times? This is less than 200 pages. It's so easy to read." But you know what? I understand these people because depending on when they read it, I saw a lot of negative reviews talking about high school. Why is this recommended reading in high school? All that. But it also has to do with history. Like, it's the cross content. As a teacher, I'm kind of like, I understand why it's assigned in high school because it talks a little bit about the Prohibition era, 1920s, a little bit of history. The writing, again, it's something you should study. But no, like, I kind of agree with some of these, but again, still my favorite. There was something in high school where I was just like, dang. I also will say, watching the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio probably helped me love this book even more. So there we go. Okay, the next book we are going to look at 1-star reviews is 6 of Crows. This is probably like one of the books that got me back into reading. Literally, like, remember reading this maybe 2 years ago on vacation and changed my life. Changed my life. Like, it directed the path to my reading journey, basically. We're gonna read 1-star reviews on this. This one, 1 star, because the stands make me want to claw out my eyeballs with my bare hands with their dumb ass behavior. What do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean? Like, I get some people, like, when they recommend a book, they're like, no, you will like it, you have to. But I think what a lot of people do is they just go right into Six of Crows and they don't read Shadow and Bone, which you're supposed to read Shadow and Bone first, and then Six of Crows, and then King of Scars, and like all that, right? There's an order, so you understand. Because like even my friend, like, she tried to read Six of Crows and she was like, what is going on? And I'm like, no, honey, you gotta read Shadow and Bone's trilogy first, and then you'll get Six of Crows. I get sometimes fan bases, they can be a little extreme, and I'm not one of those people where I'm like pushing it. It's like, hey, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But that was a funny review. Okay. This one is just funny. It says, dog, my math book got a better plot. What do you mean by that? Like a line plot? Just kidding. But also, what do you mean by that? My math book? How are you gonna compare a math book to a literature book? That's a funny one. I've seen a lot of these reviews, they like DNF'd after the 50% mark, which is kind of crazy. Okay, this one's a little bit longer, but it's gonna be the last one. It says, all of the characters in this book could have died, and I wouldn't have been I. The author tries to coerce you into caring for these characters by slipping too long explanations of their backstories in over and over and over, yet I didn't come to care for a single one of them. Neither did any of them grow as people as the book went on and on and on. So many events and scenes are extraneous to the plot. At no time did I care about what the characters were doing, or was I impressed by them. In fact, the only time I got riled up over the story was when I realized there was more, a lot more. I could go on about the ages, relationships, questionable characterizations, and plot conveniences, but I'll spare you from having to read a single word more than about these characters. Bardugo has written enough. Which is crazy because she's written more after this. And is still successful. But it's just so interesting to see how people feel about your favorite books. Because like I'm sitting here and I'm like, I thought the plot was great. I thought it went on smoothly. I liked getting to know the characters and their backstories. Like I want to know everything about them and what makes them tick, basically. So it's kind of fun to see that some people are like, I don't care. But then also complain that you don't care about the characters enough when they gave you all this information. Like, shouldn't that make you care about the people because you know a lot more about them? I don't know if that made any sense, but we're gonna do Darling Venom. I read this book last year and I absolutely loved it. And that was a 5-star read for me last year. So we're gonna see. And I don't know what made me want to read it. I think I heard really good reviews. I forget. It's something about, like, I remember getting recommended that book either on like the internet and me never being able to find it. And I think what like made like put the cherry on the top of the cake, or whatever the saying is, was Sarah Caroli read it and she loved it. And so then I was like, okay, I have to read this. And then I loved it. It made me want to read more about, or not about, by Parker S. Huntington. So let's read some of these reviews. This one says, it's so bad I want to give you a 0, but that's not possible, so I'll give you a 1. You were nice enough to give a 1. That's nice. These I like short ones, if you couldn't tell, but this one says 700 pages of cringe. You know, I will say, for a book being 700 pages, a little long. Okay, it's giving Wattpad fanfic in the worst possible way. Which, I can see that. You know, I can see how this is kind of Wattpad-y, and I kind of love that for Darling Venom, because it does kind of just scream Wattpad. Maybe that's why I liked it, like the nostalgia of reading Wattpad, like fan fictions. Okay, this one's a little bit longer. So the first thing she says is, this book is so dumb, I actually unfollowed and blocked the person who suggested to me. Dramatic? Maybe, but I honestly don't need that kind of stupidity in my life. first of all, a little extreme. This book tried so hard to be edgy, dark, and oh, so deep, but fell flat at every effing turn. I cannot imagine someone reading this in 50 years. This book will not age well. I didn't listen to the audiobook, so I have no idea, but then again, like, why are you gonna hire children? Maybe you could hire, like, teenagers, but again, they're probably 30 because that's all they could get. I don't know. You're taking the time to write a book, add a personality to your characters, would you? Maybe in 200 useless pages that you could easily have cut off. Chemistry would have been good too. All in all, this was a painful journey. Another note for the author: just don't. Just don't what? Write more? Probably. You know, me reading these, some of these, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I gotta reread it. Maybe I will say like a 1-star review. No, I usually, like, I personally would not even write a review if it was 1 star. I would just be like, yep, that was not for me, move on with my life. But some of these people, they just think, let me write this 1-star review because somebody might feel the same way. Okay, last one for Darling Venom. 1 star. I do this to myself, to be honest. Maybe, again, maybe you're not just finding the books you like. Maybe you're into like fiction, general fiction. Maybe you're into like sci-fi. Would this be considered a dark romance? I'm not sure. Not dark. It's just has some dark topics. Anyways. All right, we're gonna move on to my one and true love, my favorite series of all time, which is Powerless. We're gonna start with the first book because I know the second book probably has a lot more hate, and I finished the third book and that was 5 stars. So this is a 5-star series, so I absolutely love it. And I'm a little scared to read 1-star reviews, but I know they exist. Like, they're out there, and I don't see how you could hate. This one says, I finished it. That's the nicest thing I can say about this book. You know what? You're right. You could have said something worse. So, that's okay. Stop. This one says, she mentioned the word dagger 101 times. Now, somebody fact check that, because the fact that this girl counted how many times she said dagger in Powerless is kind of crazy. What can I say? Peyton really loves her dagger. And also that's on the cover, so like, of course it's gonna get mentioned. But 101, that seems a little excessive, you know. This one says, unseasoned chicken in book form. Do these people not like Kai's, like, banter? I'm sorry, the banter? Unseasoned chicken? Are you kidding me? First of all, I don't know if you're talking about an Eat Spice, but this is a YA series, okay? These are so sick, okay? Like, this made me more confident in my ability to get published. You know what? You go for it, girl. If you want to get published, go for it. But, like, yeah, maybe it is easier in this day and age to get published. Who knows? Okay, I see a lot of people comparing it to Red Queen and Hunger Games, which I tried reading Red Queen and I DNF'd it in like 2023. I did not like it. And then Hunger Games, don't hate me, never read. So, maybe I'm biased because I'm, haven't read those two and I loved this, but whatever. We're gonna do one more. Okay, the last and final review we're gonna read, because these are just so funny, reading how a lot of people compare it to other books, and then also just saying like, wow, this is for 12-year-olds. And you know what? Mentally, maybe I am a 12-year-old, okay? And I loved this. But this last one just says, book talk needs to be eradicated. Which is like crazy to say that this one book caused you to believe that book talk needs to be out of here, done, eradicated. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. The last and final book we're gonna do for this video is The Shadow Between Us. I read this in 2023, and I think if I reread it, I probably would do a lower rating, but at the time I rated it 5 stars. So I want to see if I can agree, because literally its average rating on Goodreads is a 3.83. And I already know I can see people like talking crap about this book because it's not that good. But as I was beginning to get into reading, I thought that book was amazing. So I rated it a 5 stars. So I definitely might need a reread because I don't think it's a 5 star anymore. But I just want to read this 1-star review on this book. Because again, I don't think it's a 5 star anymore. At the time I did, but I don't think so anymore. It's not like in my brain. Okay, this one says, 13-year-old me from Wattpad could write a better villain romance. When he said he wanted the whole world to have his flag, I could not stop laughing. Mother effort, that is called colonization. Okay. Oh, see, okay, I'm reading a couple of these. Like, I didn't know this was marketed as a Slytherin romance. First of all, what? Is there a market for that? Because, what the heck? I only read 5 chapters, but this book is so bad. I feel like I'm reading Wattpad stories again. You know what? Good. Just kidding. But yeah, totally can see how you feel this is very Wattpad-y because it is. Ooh, overhyped and main characters are colonizers. I don't remember that from the plot. Is that like a big point? Because now this second review that's talked about colonizers. Was that a thing? I don't remember. This book actually made me disassociate from reading and reflect on my feelings I had been avoiding. Well, that's good that you can like reflect on how you're feeling and ask yourself, what the heck did I just read? This one hurts me because I do remember the dedication for this. And it says, well, at least the cover is sort of cool. That's probably the only good thing I can say. I should have known better when the book's dedication mentioned Damon Salvatore. Stop, I love Damon, so the fact that you said that? What do you mean? I love Damon. And the last and final review we're gonna read for this, because again, this is probably not a 5 star anymore, but on my Goodreads I still have it as a 5 star for The Shadow Between Us. RMCs were so whiny, didn't connect. Don't remember. Were they? Probably. I don't know. Okay, so I think I did 5 books in total, which I think is plenty, but I have more 5 stars. So if you enjoyed this video, let me know and I can look at some other 5-star reviews I had and read more of like the 1-star reviews, because some people are really creative with their 1-star reviews and how they say they hate this book so much. I definitely did not get my feelings hurt, so I got more of a laugh because of how creative, again, people write these reviews. And this is just to show like I'm not hurt by it. You should be hurt by it if your favorite book is not my favorite book, but I just think it's funny. I think these are just for a little giggle and laugh, because in the end we all have our own opinions, like I said, and our book tastes are all different. So if there's a book you really love and someone else doesn't really like, leave it be. So that was me reading 1-star reviews on my 5-star reads. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and also make sure you subscribe. I post videos once a week, whether it's book content like this or vlogs or lifestyle or anything I'm kind of in the mood for. It's kind of what I post. So if you are enjoying my content, you should go ahead and subscribe. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Bye.